Hello everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this first video of the European Association for Theoretical Computer Science. In this video, I will teach you how to go from this quite rough style of recorded talk to this more polished style of recorded talk. This video is a companion piece to iwmertz's column in the October issue of the EATCS Bulletin. Ian makes the case for why you, as an academic in theoretical computer science, should want to produce nice videos for your conference talks. This video here will be a practical guide on how to get decent results with minimal time investments. This is not going to be a tutorial on how to produce well-polished YouTube videos. There's enough of those out there. This is for busy academics who nevertheless need to have a presentable online version of their talk. I will discuss recording equipment, what software you can use, and I will make some suggestions on how to edit and what you should be paying attention to. Where applicable, I will use my own most recent video as an example, link in the description. Okay, first up, let's talk time investment. I believe that you can make a good video in 2 days of work. That covers writing a script, all the work of setting up and recording, as well as editing it together and everything that comes along with that. As evidence for that estimate, I timed myself when making my own most recent video. I spent 16 hours to make the whole thing. Half of that, 8 hours, was just writing the script. This was a talk I had only given once before, so writing the script itself took me a long time. This is not usually how it works. I spent 1 hour making figures that honestly should have been part of the slides already, and then we get to the actual new video-only material. So I spent 2 hours on recording. That covers everything from setting up the equipment, like making sure that the lighting is good, and then the actual recording and cleaning up afterwards. Those 2 hours of work results in 1 hour and 15 minutes of raw footage. And then most of the work, of course, it goes into editing. I spent 5 hours on this for the video, and that covers everything from cutting out failed takes, removing awkward pauses, as well as making video-specific graphics, finding some Creative Commons licensed music to put on to transition screens, really everything that remains. The only thing I did not count in those 5 hours was the time it took to transfer files between devices, because I could do other things in the meantime. So here's how this estimate is going to apply to you. When you make your first video, it's probably going to be based on a talk that you have given multiple times before, which means that writing out your script, if you do that, it won't take you anywhere near 8 hours. On the other hand, I am way more practiced probably in editing the video, so you might have to spend a bit more time there. But all in all, I do think within 2 working days, you can do this for sure. So now let's go through the steps of the process one by one, and I will try to give you what advice I can based on my own experience. We'll start with script writing. I personally write out my lines word for word. It takes a bit of time investment up front, but at least for me, it pays itself out many times over by making recording and editing that much easier. I write my script in Google Docs, where if I use 18-point sized Arial font, then a 33-minute video is just around 22 pages of text. For me, the script serves 2 important roles. The most important one is to remove filler words and to enable me to speak my lines confidently. Filler words are stuff like, I mean, basically, you know, actually, like, For in-person presentations, I think filler words are fine. But this being YouTube, there's different expectations that come with the medium, and I would personally advocate for not having them, trying to remove them wherever possible. But of course, it's a matter of style, it's a matter of preference. I'm saying what has been my good experience. The second function of the script for me is to remove awkwardness. I personally get uncomfortable being in a room by myself, speaking to a camera, but when I can just narrate my pre-written lines, that makes it a lot easier. Now we get to the most important part, which is audio. Despite this being called a video format, audio is the most important property of the whole thing. It is beyond important that you have good quality audio. If your audio sucks, people will not watch your video no matter how good it is. Luckily, getting acceptable audio quality is quite easy if you follow these 2 recommendations. First, software. Do not Under any circumstance, use Zoom or other live meeting software to record your videos. They store their audio in a very lossy format in order to transmit it over the internet in real time, and you can hear that compression. So instead, I suggest that you use a local recording software, something like OBS Studio. Second is equipment. I recommend that you get yourself a dedicated microphone. Whatever comes built into your phone, your webcam, or your headset is probably insufficient. This is good enough for Zoom, but it's not enough for YouTube. There are a lot of videos on this website that can explain you in detail everything about microphones, but really you have two options. First is a standalone cheap USB condenser microphone. For just 40 euros, shipping included, you have something that will serve you well. I use this one right here. The second option is to splurge on a standalone recording device, preferably something that records in 32-bit audio. I use this one right here. The advantage of 32-bit audio is that it is much easier to salvage if you did something wrong during the recording process, which can save you from having to re-record your whole video. To emphasize how much of a difference having a dedicated microphone makes, I recorded a little comparison clip for you. Here, I'm running a comparison of a few different microphones. First is this condenser microphone here that I bought years ago for 30 euros. It plugs into my computer through USB, and it has a cardioid intake pattern. Second, what you're hearing now is my phone's built-in microphone, while the phone is also recording my face. It is an iPhone XR from 2018. I got it for free when my mother upgraded to a new phone. First, you're hearing the headset that I have on. I got it from a cheap goods store for less than 7 euros. Fourth is my webcam's built-in microphone. My webcam is a Logitech C920S, which today sells for around 90 euros. And finally, we have the Tentacle Track E. It is a small 32-bit audio recorder device that I spent 320 euros for new. Okay, I hope you're convinced now. Let's talk about video. Video quality, the way you record your face, is not nearly as demanding. If you want, you can use your webcam together with software like OBS Studio. That will be fine. If you want to go up a step in quality, I suggest that you use your phone camera instead, and you make sure that your room is lit appropriately. Light matters a whole lot more than camera quality. Editing can be a lot of work, but it can also be a lot of fun. So even though today I'm focusing just on the essentials, don't be afraid to play around. For this basics tutorial, I'll be using Kdenlive. It's free, it's open source, it's what I use, and I quite like it. I will teach you about the 10 most important buttons. When you open Kdenlive, you are greeted with this screen. The first thing I do is I start a new project and I select my resolution and frame rate. I use 1080p at 60 FPS because that's what my iPhone outputs. Next, I make sure that I'm on the project bin tab here on the bottom left. Then I use this film reel button to add new resources to the project, and I import what I need in this file browser window. It always suggests to make the project resolution match one of the clips, which I tend to refuse. Now we can start dragging clips onto the timeline. Dragging, dropping, cutting, moving are the main things that I do. Since I have a separate audio file, I first need to align the audio with the video. To do that, I always start my recording with some claps. That way I can visually align the clips using audio visualization. Next, I throw away the iPhone audio. This involves first ungrouping the video and audio tracks and deleting the bad audio. To regroup the video with the new audio, I hold the Shift key to select all the things, and then I group them using the right-click menu. When clips are grouped, they move together and they are cut together. Observe the little toolbar in the middle of the screen. There is the selection tool and the scissors tool that we've used. To verify that the audio is aligned well, let's hear the claps real quick. That sounds good to me. Next, I noticed that my video is rotated by 90 degrees. To fix that, let's add an effect from the Effects tab. The list of effects is pretty long, but we can type to search for the transformation effect. I drag it onto the clip, and then in the Effects panel on the right, I can set the clip's rotation, and I can rescale it to fit exactly on the screen. Next, I use the scissor tool to cut out the bad takes and the filler words. This is a pretty long process. The first pass usually takes me 1 minute of effort for every 1 minute of camera footage. In one or more passes, I cut and delete the parts that should go, and then I use the spacer tool to remove any gaps in the timeline, like you can see me do here. To add formulas and figures, I have taken to the following trick. I have one large image file that includes every formula that I want to show. By the way, to zoom time in and out, I hold the control key and I scroll the mouse wheel. You can make clips longer or shorter by dragging the left or right edge of them using the selection tool. Searching in the Effects tab, I add the edge crop and transform effect to the image by dragging and dropping. Now I use the handles of the red bounding box of the transform effect to determine where on screen the formulas have to go, and I can pick out the formula I need using the edge crop effect. The transform effect makes it so that the image will always be in the middle of the bounding box and have maximum possible size. After this preparation, I cut the formula image clip into little pieces, and then I would put one piece in every spot where I need to show a formula. Then I go over the whole timeline and I crop every one of them to the size that I need by adjusting the crop on the top, left, right, and bottom. I know that you can probably use individual files for individual formulas as well, but this was an easier workflow for me to deal with. When I am done with all the edits, I navigate in the context menu to Project and then Render, and I render to MP4. Rendering can take a while, depending on your computer hardware. To finish this section of the tutorial, let me give you an idea of what the end result looks like. Here I open up my own most recent recorded talk into KDN Live, and you can see just how many cuts I did. The vast majority of those are for filler words and for pauses that I cut out in order to maintain a good flow. As I said before, this was around 5 hours of work total. That's it for my basic editing tutorial. As you can see, although the software has a lot of buttons, you don't need too many of them. A quick note about style. You need to think about what's the vibe you're going for with your video. It doesn't have to be the same as your IRL talks. If you watch any amount of YouTube, then you will know that different people and different channels often have different styles of presenting and of editing. Almost all of them can be used in informative videos. You can sit at a desk like Chalk Talk or stand in your basement like ACS Reactions. You can show your face all of the time like Dr. Fatma, or never show your face like 100th Coin. You can be funny like Sucker Pinch, or sarcastic like Angela Collier, or dead serious like USCSB. You can even consider learning to use advanced mathematical animation software like 3 Blue 1 Brown's Manim, though I will warn you from my own experience that it's quite time intensive to use. I'm linking a list of my own inspirations on this platform, playlist link in the description. These videos are inspirations, but you might not want to emulate them unless you have a lot of time. Really, this style that you're looking at right now, just a talking face, some overlaid graphics at times, it is more than fine for what we're doing as academics. That's it for the video. I hope I have sufficiently prepared you to record your own talk now. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. This video, along with Ian's companion piece, marks the beginning of the new EATCS YouTube channel for pre-recorded talks. This is an initiative launched by Stefan Schmidt and hosted by iwmertz and myself. We're inviting speakers to pitch potential videos at really any technical level, with an emphasis on clarity of presentation and quality of video production. The submission and editing process for the channel will be separate from the print bulletin, and we will aim to release videos throughout the year. We also invite all contributors to the EATCS bulletin to submit video accompaniments or even video-only contributions to be released alongside of the bulletin's release schedule. This will go via the ordinary bulletin soliciting and editing procedure. Our primary goal here is to help lead the way towards video occupying a more prominent place within the theoretical computer science community by offering a venue for the best video talks that our field has to offer. And with that, we've reached the end of the video. Don't forget to do the usual YouTubes, the like and the subscribe. And don't forget to consider pitching your own video for this channel. Submission instructions are in the description. Okay, before we close off, let's end with a bit of behind the scenes footage. Because as you can see, like the recording setup here is not professional, right? It's just, I'm in my living room. I put in all my blankets and pillows in order to make the sound a bit better. Hopefully, like I have like one little lamp here and I have a window there. That's the nature of recording. Things outside of the camera view, they don't look good. They shouldn't, because that's wasted effort. Okay, bye.